A powerful committee of MPs has raised concerns about government plans to radically overhaul the benefits system.
Yes, the Work and Pensions Select Committee says next year's planned reform could leave many disabled people worse off, many households with rent arrears.
Paul Lewis, presenter of Radio 4's Moneybox programme, is here. It's already a confusing system.
Oh, I know.
It's being changed.
Yes, I mean, the committee looked into it carefully. They made 36 recommendations. Now, I've just picked out 3 areas that other people might not quite spot. The first is all claims are going to have to be online. There's going to be no paper forms even available, and everybody has to do that. And the problem is Ofcom says 11 million adults have no internet at home. How are they going to manage? We don't quite know. Disability benefits, the government says that it will simplify benefits for disabled people. The same money is going in, but not in the same way. So several 100,000 disabled people will actually be worse off. And thirdly, rent in future will be paid entirely to individuals, not to the landlord. Now, at the moment, many people on benefits, the rent's paid direct to the landlord because it's going to be a lot of money. In future, only to individuals, and arrears may rise.
So many questions, really. I mean, presumably, if you give the money to individuals, you know, if they've got the cash, they might, as you say, spend it on something else that they desperately need as well.
Well, that's right, because the rent in many cases will be a lot more than the benefit they've got for everything else, because rents are very high. So obviously there will be the temptation to do that. Many people, of course, will resist it, and it's more like being in work, which is what the government says. But for many vulnerable groups who just aren't used to managing that quantity of money, the committee says there really should be some alternative. But at the moment, only a very, very, very tightly defined group will have it paid direct to the landlord.
And Paul, I mean, we saw that disability benefit is one of those real worry areas. We've spoken to people already on this programme, haven't we, who have great concerns about that.
Well, absolutely, and the problem is, Charlie, we've talked about disability benefit changes already, employment and support allowance changes, for example. Employment and support allowance is being scrapped. It's being part of universal credit, most of it. So people who've already experienced one change are now going to have to experience other. And the committee says 170,000 children will lose a disabled child edition. That could cost their parents £1,500 a year. 230,000 will lose severe disability premium, which is obviously for the very severely disabled. That could cost £3,000 a year. And the disability element paid with working tax credit will go, that's £54 a week. Now, that's hundreds of thousands of people. The government says, as I said, the same money is going to disabled people altogether, but it's being distributed differently. The government says more sensibly. But of course, there will be winners, there'll be losers, and of course, it's the losers who are going to feel very hard done by
Of course. And when does this all start? And how, you know, because it's sort of being rolled out.
It is being rolled out. The plan is pilots in April, roll out beginning properly in October for new claimants, and then over the next 4 years, all new claimants and everybody currently on these 6 means-tested benefits will move over to it. Now, the committee says, using a very nice word, this is an ambitious target, and that's very much sort of, yes, minister spiel, minister, it's a very brave thing to do. We don't know if it'll work. Huge IT systems have to work. DWP has its own IT system, another one at Revenue and Customs, they have to integrate. We don't know if that'll work, so there may be delays, but there is absolute political commitment to doing this. It will happen, but how slowly it will be brought in, we don't know.
Yeah, and what about if people fall between the cracks? I mean, as they're trying to make the change and the systems are not working and they don't know how to operate it, I mean, what will happen in practical terms to those people?
This is very worrying for the organisations that advise them. Citizens Advice in Wales, for example, has said it's already overwhelmed with queries about benefits, all the other changes. Now it's going to be even more overwhelmed. Its funding is being cut because local authority funding is being cut. So there is also the committee, one of its 36 recommendations is that there should be much more for advice services so that people can get help. But of course they don't just need advice. In many cases they'll need money to tide them over, and a lot of special grants are being moved to local authorities. Absolutely huge change for everybody. So it will be very, very difficult for a lot of people.
Paul, thank you very much. I know you'll be back later, so people can text in if they've got questions, can't they?
Yeah, they can text, they can tweet me, and they can email the programme about their concerns, and I'll try and answer them in a couple of hours after 8 o'clock.
OK, thank you
very much. Thanks, Paul. It's just coming up to 6:40.